hello, everybody who's just joining us. This is TechRecruit's Dueling Sourcers, and we're here live with Dan Harris and Marc Hamel. Gentlemen, welcome to Dueling Sourcers.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Likewise.
We're so excited. This is our first show of the new year, 2021, and I know we're all feeling pumped. Start of a new year, or rolling it over from last year. We'll see how things go. But you're going to be kicking off our new show for the season. And yes, hello, everybody. Steve Levy says hello. How you doing there, Steve? I'm going to give you gentlemen just a moment to introduce yourselves. And while you're doing that, I'm going to make this live on Facebook for those who want to join. So Dan, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself, how long you've been in recruitment and that sort of thing.
Cool. Actually, I've been 20 plus years. So again, hello, everyone. I'm Dan Harris. And over the past 7 years, I've been working as a researcher at a $2 trillion plus tech company. And I have a passion for just finding information, specifically open source intelligence based, and also sharing and teaching it. And basically during this session, I hope to give you a few tidbits this hour that you might utilize yourself, or actually more so encourage you to leverage your creativity, discover more, and find out what works for you. And I'll kick it back over to Marc next.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. As Stacy mentioned, I'm Marc Hamel. Like Luke Skywalker, only spelled different. I will get into that in a little bit. But I have been in this industry for a little bit over a decade. Started on the agency environment, which in my opinion is by far the best way to start, just getting thrown to the wolves. I started out and they gave me a list of like 12 clients and said, start calling them. And they gave me no other instructions beside that. So that's the way to start. And then about a little bit over 4 years ago, I shifted over to a small startup company called Amazon. And I've been here ever since, working for a whole bunch of different cool projects for devices and the consumer division and lots of other things. And I source pretty heavily for tech talent. So real quick caveat, that's going to be what a major focus around today is. And yeah, go from there.
So gentlemen, we have chosen a role that we're going to source for. Each one of you are going to show that there's two ways to source for talent. There's no one strategy. I think oftentimes recruiters and sourcers get in their head like, oh, I got to start here. And they think a little bit too much. And I want to show that there's more than one way to do it. And we all have our different strategies. So Marc, tell us what we're going to be working on today.
Yeah, excuse me. The best way to do this, I'm not the biggest fan of PowerPoints, but for ease of doing all of this, I threw one quickly together and I will run through everything that way and also kind of flash back and forth between my screen to show some of the searches and why. But the major focus for today, actually, let me share my screen and that'll probably be the best way to do this. Let's make sure we just tested it. So let's make sure it works. Can you guys see? Can somebody give me a thumbs up if they can see my screen?
Yes.
Sweet. Awesome. So I will start this beast off here. So as I mentioned, not the biggest fan of PowerPoints, but it gives me a chance to use my favorite office memes and GIFs. So Michael Scott with this PowerPoint right there. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm Marc Hamel, senior sourcer for Amazon. There's my contact info. Feel free to email me with questions. I want to mention one thing before I head first dive in. And that's that the conversation doesn't stop at the end of today. Please, this is a community where we share information and I'm here to do so. So if there's any questions on stuff that I share, which I gave Stacy the PowerPoint to share, so she'll have all my resources sent out to everybody that I'm going to share. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to assist and help with anything you might need. But also I mentioned that my name is Marc Hamel, not spelled the same, and I was bored. So I put my face on Marc Hamel's body. You're welcome for that image. Try to get that out of your head. But the theme for today, I'll just leave this up while I talk, is for us to think about ways to source outside LinkedIn. Stacy actually mentioned yesterday to us that she's consulting with a group and they are so comfortable just sitting in LinkedIn and they don't feel that it's beneficial to take on other avenues and feel it's more of a rabbit hole as opposed to reaping any results. So that's something that really resonated with me and wanted to definitely share some data around why you should think outside that box. So why is it needed to go outside LinkedIn? Well, a study from Social Talent found that 85% of recruiters and sourcers use LinkedIn as their primary and main source. That's a valid thing. I've seen it myself, especially at a large company like this, where I work. But if you look at the US population, currently it's at 328 million, and LinkedIn reported in 2020, 167 million profiles. So if you do the math, which I went to public university, Oregon State University, great math school, 51% of Americans have an active profile on the platform, if you do that math. But it's stated from a study from Statista that 81% of Americans have some sort of social media platform or social presence, or social footprint, I should say. So if you do that math, you're missing out on about 30% of individuals. So those are people that, especially in the tech realm, are not on LinkedIn, at least according to the numbers. So that's one reason to go outside that box. A couple other things. The challenges with reaching those 167 that are on LinkedIn. Again, the office meme, you're welcome. The tech talent out there is receiving over 20 in-mails a week. I think that's completely false. I think it's way more than that, but this is the data I could come up with that seemed valid. So the industry average, again, I don't know if this is correct. I think it might be a little bit lower, at least from some of the more bulk hiring that I've seen done for software engineering and things of that line, say that the industry average response rate's at 28%. So that's response rate. That's not interested rate. That's just response rate. So that's saying that includes the decline messages as well. So out of every 10 people you reach out to, 28% is almost 30%. So we'll say 3 of them reply. And that's to say that maybe 1 or 2 of them are actually going to be interested, or 1 or 2 of them are not going to be interested. So you can see those numbers really whittle down. And to make this even more fun and think about why we want to do this, the Department of Labor stated that by the end of 2020, so this is the most recent I could find, even though 2020 is over, it said that there's 1.4 million computer specialist openings by the end of 2020. And also that same department said that university is not likely to produce even 30% of these jobs. So that just adds more competition to what we're going after when we're talking about technical talent. And the final nugget in terms of data and things like that is that, there's another meme for you, so I don't like that, is that, so the average recruiter's candidate what's the candidate conversion from when they're reached, or when they're identified to hire. So they call it the candidate to hire conversion. So when you identify somebody on LinkedIn or whatever profile, from that point to the point where you convert them to a hire is 0.4%. So quick math on that, you have to identify 225 individuals just to make one hire. That's identifying that they're actually a fit. So hopefully you're checking all the boxes of they meet the education, the years of experience, not just throwing darts at a wall. But if you're actually doing the qualifying portion, 225 need to be looked at or identified as a potential fit. And then from there, the numbers are 0.4 conversion ratio. So crazy numbers to think about. Why not open up the box to get at least 30% more of individuals that are not on LinkedIn? Here are some sources to do so. So what I want to do, and Dan's going to do the same, is there are, we just went over that, some tools that I want to share with everybody, and I'm going to have Stacey send out this presentation, and I have all the links in here so you can have quick access to them, so you don't need to jot them down super quickly. But there's a handful of tools that I want everybody to have or be aware of for when we're going after our searches on other avenues outside of LinkedIn. The first is to build, you're welcome, that's Kevin Malone, is to build Booleans. So there's Bool, which is a Boolean builder, I'll show you in a second. There's Hire Tool, which has an awesome Boolean builder feature. And then there's Google Sheets, which does a great job building Booleans as well. And then the really cool tools are What's My Name? I'll show you that one in a minute. Name Checker, show you that in a second. GitHub Search Tool, GitHub Email, and then all-in-one search. I'll show these all right now, actually. It's a good time to pause and do so. Let me get this going. So Bool, the first one I mentioned, it is a Chrome extension. It's like using a calculator on a math test. You simply just, I hope everybody can see this. I know when you share, sometimes it doesn't show an extension that pops up, it just shows the tab. Dan, can you see Bool? Can you thumbs up on Bool if you can see it? Sweet. So yeah, all it is, super simplistic, using calculator on a math test. So maybe we want to do like software engineer, maybe I'll spell it right. And, you want like software, or excuse me, we don't want to do that. We want to do an or. Anyway, we'll do or. Then you do software developer. And then over here's your or. No, let me start that one over. Totally botched that. So software engineer or software developer. Over here is your and. So you want them to have experience with, I don't know, Java, and maybe you're looking for Android or maybe Kotlin. And then all you can do right here is the little drop-down beast, and it lets you select from Google or Bing. You can X-ray, or you can search one of these sites, and it just simply just search that beast, and there's your Boolean built in for you. We can all write these on our own. I get that, but to be able to just do it in a Chrome extension and it's like using a calculator on a math test. So I'd highly recommend Bool. The second is HireTool. It's a paid source or a paid platform. But what I like about HireTool, if you have access to it for building Booleans, is that they do a really good job. And I'm not promoting them. I just like the tool. If you type in maybe like iOS developer, if it loads, it pops up for you. And what it does is it populates like terms. So iOS developers, Swift, Cocoa, Objective-C, it populates these for you. So you don't need to go to like Tech Glossary and scrape all those terms. It populates some good ones for you and builds you a pretty cool Boolean. So I like to use that just so I don't have to dive too deep into finding other words for other technologies. So I'd recommend that one as well. And then the third one, which again, you'll have the links to, is just a Google Sheets Boolean builder. This is actually a diversity one that Dean DaCosta has on his SSAR, but I really like it because you can just like your universities or specific skills you want, different skill set, job title, and it pops in your Boolean right here. The other cool thing though, if you look down here, it has a whole bunch of different diversity keywords, affinity groups, something cool to keep in mind because diversity is a hot button around just about anywhere around Amazon, I'm sure other companies as well. So those are 3 tools I recommend for building your Booleans. Then the other portion I want to talk about is as we're using these Boolean strings and searching for candidates and using these outside the box platforms, humans are a creature of habit. And myself, for example, I use the same username across many different platforms. So what these tools do is like, what's my name, is it allows you to type in a username. Like my username on all these is Hamel Cubs fan. I'm a huge Cubs fan, which I probably can't see, but that's Wrigley Field back there. And what you do simply is you just type in the username and then it starts pulling up all their social profiles. Yes, I have a bodybuilding.com, believe it or not. You could copy these, you can turn them into CSV, you can do whatever you want with them. But the point is it finds these social things. If you click on it, it'll take you to their profile, not the GitHub one that just shows you their username. But point being, this, humans are a creature of habit. So if you find somebody on one of these sources and you want to look more into them, bring up one of these spots and it'll definitely show you around their different platforms or their different social media footprints. Namechecker does the same thing. I actually like it a little bit better just for a couple things. It does Twitter and Facebook, which the other doesn't. But again, it's just another way to find these individuals. So put this in your tool belt as you are looking through finding candidates, which Dan and I will get into here in a second. The other one on that list was a GitHub search tool. Very simplistic. It's a Chrome extension. You can type in a username. You can type in a technology. Quickly takes you to the page. This is my favorite one, is GitHub email right here. If you type in a username, let's do mine for example, and you search it, it pulls up their email. It's pretty widely known around the sourcing community that it's pretty simplistic to do manually. Just go to one of the repositories that they've committed to, done a commit on, and then type in .patch at the end of the URL, and it pops that up. This just runs that for you in your as a Chrome extension, saves you time. So that's and then the final one is all-in-one web search. It's another Chrome extension right here, if it pops up, and it's a quick Chrome extension that allows you to search multiple platforms, and you can just type your search right here from your whatever window you're in, and then search, and it'll search directly from that site. So super simplistic things, but they save me a ton of time. And I read a study a while back that recruiters were asked, or sources were asked, what the number one thing they wish they had was. It's not more money for tools. It's not more robust knowledge on how to code. It's more time. And so these things right here save you time, and they give you that. They eliminate clicks and help you do things quicker. So that's the basic stuff to have in your tool belt. Going back to the sweet Office themed PowerPoint, which I'm not going to load it up. I'll just go to the next one here. So here's 5 sites that I use. And one thing I want to mention that Stacy mentioned to us yesterday, or a while back when we were discussing, actually, I think it was yesterday, about that group that is not too interested in using outside of LinkedIn because they feel it's a rabbit hole. These are sites that I use that I've had hires from. So I don't want to come in here and spew something out that I haven't actually used myself. I never want to preach what I don't practice. These are 5 sites that I've had hires from. So I wanted to share them, and they're outside the box ways to source, not using LinkedIn. So all of these will be on this PowerPoint again. So you can use these and cater and tailor these to whatever you want. But here they are, and I'll walk through each one of those sites relatively quickly. The first is Code Wars. So Code Wars is a site, it's essentially like a user-built community where they can do challenges, teach others code, just basically a community where people can learn and develop their skills. Now, it's a really cool site because if you click on a user of any type, it shows you their social profiles, it shows you their username. Again, humans are creatures of habit. It shows you different challenges that they take. And these are things that you can reference when you reach out to have a warm reach out. So that's a reason that I take this approach. But if we go just to the Boolean I had on that PowerPoint, I just cite Code Wars and then the URL of users is where the users are all stored. And I like the around operator because if you look at the profile, that's the wrong tab. If you look at the profile, it has their skills right here. And then it lists all the different type of skills they have. So if you're looking again for like a Kotlin or some sort of Android developer or something like that, why is this doing this? You just do skills on that last page and you do around 5 because there's a list of them. And then you do Kotlin and it will bring up people that have Kotlin listed as one of their skills. Now back to the theme of not going through LinkedIn, the first person that popped up right here, SkySweep, just using the tools that I shared with you, what's my name and then name checker. I simply just copied the username and I plopped it in there and found that they don't have a LinkedIn and here's their GitHub. And then I also found here's their Twitter. Point being, here's somebody that's not on LinkedIn. And this is what we're trying to display here. So here's a quick and simple Boolean string of a cool site where you found somebody that is not on LinkedIn. They have a pretty good social presence here, a lot of different repositories, something to reach out or reference when you're reaching out to them. The next site I'm a big fan of is DevRant. This is a cool site because developers can go in here and rant about technologies or things that aren't working or things they wish they had that they don't have. Real quick, Stacey, if there's questions, you can stop me halfway through. Or we can do that at the end, whatever you want to do.
There are questions in the chat, but you're on such a good flow. I didn't want to stop you. Quite honestly, and just for those of you who are watching, I have in all of our past shows too, we've looked for different skill sets, and I've actually rewatched one of these shows and gone through the steps of identifying a list of candidates. And so this is so valuable. I've never seen any of the tools that you're using, Marc, displayed on the show. So thank you so much. This is fantastic. I can't wait to watch it again and go through a process. But here's a question in the chat. Somebody asked if the Google Sheet would be shared. I'm going to share all the resources afterwards. Marc has put them all in a PowerPoint for us, and those will be made available for everybody. And then there was some good comments about Dan in his car. But
and it's Tesla, not just his car, it's Tesla.
These are all your friends though, Dan. All right. I
feel kind of I'm opening for Taylor Swift. I feel like Dan's the show and I'm sitting here opening for Taylor Swift.
So, I haven't spoken in a long time. I really haven't. I've lined some good stuff up though, I think. It's all right.
I'll tell you one thing though. I did look this up because I felt like I was going to be opening for Taylor Swift. Ed Sheeran opened for Taylor Swift. So I will be the Ed Sheeran to your Taylor Swift. You're welcome, Dan.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear a little Ed Sheeran. You want to sing for us a little bit?
You don't want that. You do not want that. Nobody wants that.
All right. Continue on, sir. You're doing great.
DevRant. Oh yeah, DevRant. That's where developers can go and rant. I find that really beneficial. Is my screen? Yes, it is. Because people usually will talk about what they're passionate about, and you can reference these things when you reach out to them. But DevRant, super easy to X-ray. Again, everything's just loaded up there in the users part of their URL. The theme of Android developers are using Kotlin, same deal. The first one that popped up, Marty Geek, I use those tools that I shared with you. Here, let me take a step back. Here's his, what it looks like on DevRant, his actual profile. He has a web page on here. He's listed in Dallas, talks about things that he's ranted about, blah, blah, blah. And then you can go from there. You take the name, he's not on LinkedIn. I found his GitHub profile, got his email address. Point being, this is something very easy to reference to someone. Hey, Marty Geek, his name's actually Martin Rayer, I think it is. I saw your rant about blah, blah, blah. We're trying to solve a similar solution. Let's talk about it type thing. So that's the approach that I take. The third of 5 is HackerNoon. HackerNoon, this is what it is. It's just a site that's built of, it's a community, kind of like an open source community, similar to a GitHub or similar to that essentially. But there's 2 routes you can take on HackerNoon that I use. One, you can look at their hashtags or the different topics. So for example, those are called tagged. Their topics are, the URL is tagged. looking for like WebRTC or GStreamer, those are things to build real-time communication platforms. Like I imagine Zoom was probably built on something similar. You can X-ray those. So you're looking for topics on these. And if you click here, which I just loaded up in a tab already. No, I didn't, just kidding. If you click here, it'll take you to their search of all the different WebRTC stories. And then as you can see, there's tons and tons of these. You can just click on one. And then here is, the information about it. Here's the author. This is the other really cool part. The profiles on HackerNoon is awesome. It gives you a lot of information if it loads. There we go. Like their social media platforms, a little bit about them. Obviously, here's their username or handle. You can search that and figure out what you want to do. What's the only thing missing though from here is there's no LinkedIn. That's the good thing. There is like this site will show you LinkedIn if it has it, but this guy doesn't have LinkedIn. And I searched pretty heavily and didn't find him on LinkedIn. Again, the theme here, people outside of LinkedIn, something very easy to reference. I mentioned there's two, I'm flying through this, by the way. I'm not Dean DaCosta speed, but I'm going fast. The other way to search HackerNoon is just to look for users, as I referenced. So maybe I'm looking for the same technology. You just simply do U in the URL as opposed to user, because that's how they house them here. And that Andrew gentleman that I just showed you on one of these right here popped up as the top result right there. So HackerNoon's cool. I would recommend using it. The second to last, DevPost. It's a way for like hackathons and to take challenges. I spoke at SourceCon in Atlanta on how to like take lists from HackerRank and find the candidates and reach out from there. Very similar structure here, but this is a way to take challenges and do fun things that way and find people that are interested in specific technologies. Super easy to X-ray. Again, it's just, you can do from topics, which would be in the URL of software. Again, we're going with the WebRTC theme and a bunch of different topics. This is what it looks like if you click on one of those, like talks about the topic for real-time streaming. Does a great job with their profiles as well. What I really like about their profiles is it shows you, social links up here, different challenges they've taken, hackathons. Super easy to reach out to people that are interested in doing this in their free time. So DevPost, there you go. Big fan of DevPost. I use that all the time. You can also search for users, but it's a little bit more dicey because it doesn't have it housed in a specific part of their URL. You just have to remove things like software. I did LinkedIn, so I can show you examples of people without LinkedIn, or participants. Those are things that are typically referred to when they're talking about one of the challenges. So remove those, and then you can get your list of candidates here, a list of users. Cool. Final site, and then I have some cool tools to share that'll be super quick so Dan can tailor.
There's a question down in the Q&A if you want to hit that. And then I had a question for you, Mark. When you are doing your Boolean searches, Jung made a really good comment that he bookmarks his searches. And I was curious, how do you track your searches? Do you bookmark them, or do you write them down in your notes, or how do you track your?
I use Google Sheets for everything. Like I just have sheets upon sheets upon sheets. Actually, this is a really good segue. I feel like somebody teed this one up. One thing I was going to share, which I can go to right now, is this is how I use it. I saw Dennis Dinkovich use these MindMeister, and this is how I document it. You probably can't see this picture from here. It's just a screenshot. Sorry about that. But these are all for a specific rec I might be working on. These are all those Booleans just logged in here. And I just save them in these types of mind maps. So I can say, here's one for like a senior developer, for a WebRTC architect, blah, blah, blah. Point being, this is really cool for me, so I can use it, but also I can deploy it to other teams. Like maybe they're doing a similar search. Here you guys go. This is pre-built. This was used before. So I log them this way, but I also log them just in Google Sheets. Great question though. I mean, there's a million different ways. I like the bookmark idea.
That's awesome. So awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah, I saw Dennis do it. And one caveat I want to mention, like none of this stuff, I think Aaron Matthew posted this a couple weeks ago, that the person is the pull stack developer, Pull. That's me. Like none of this is from this brain. This does not think this way. These are all things that I've seen from other people, and I will pull them and use them myself. And I like to reference anybody I pulled it from. But point being, I took like a term of computer science, and that's it. So any of this stuff is not from me. This is all stuff I got from other people. So great question. And I'm going to steal Jung's idea of bookmarking them. Thank you for that. What did oh yeah, the final one was dev.to. I shared a little bit about this at SourceCon when I presented, but it's an awesome, I've had several great hires from this open source community of dev.to. Super easy to X-ray as well, because you just got to search joined on. It's the one thing that pops up in their profile, similar to like GitHub used to do, or I think you can still use that. But first one, I just searched for the same theme of real-time communication developers or people that have a background and such. This Robert individual popped up, used the cool tool of whatever this one's called, what's my name? Gosh. And it gave me here's his profile first off. Then it gave me his Twitter, all these other cool things, but not his LinkedIn. And I could not find Bob. I could not find whatever, many different focuses of his name on LinkedIn. So again, the theme being, these are individuals that spend their free time in these communities, may have a LinkedIn, but it's a ghost profile, or don't have a LinkedIn, a ghost profile like Dan does. That's pretty much the point of what this is all about. So those are the sites. You have those, or you will have those Booleans when Stacy sends it. Edit it, change it, do whatever you want to do. But these are actual sites that I've had hires from, so I wanted to share those. And I will kick it to Dan in just a few minutes, but I have like one other slide right here that is some a little bit more advanced stuff, but it's also things that I use on a daily basis. I can't say daily basis. I use it pretty often. And you'll get all these resources. These are all links to these things. But the first, so there's a way, it's not foolproof, but it works pretty well of getting emails from Instagram. Instead of me walking through step-by-step of how to do it, here's a link to the video that I filmed of it on Loom. I shared it openly, so you can watch it, but there's a couple things you need to install, which I walk through. It's really actually simplistic. It might look daunting at first view, but anybody can do it. If I can do it, trust me, anybody can do it. The second one, which is really beneficial to me, which we can show you, it's a meetup scraper. Andre Bradshaw, the man, the myth, the legend, built a scraper to take groups. So let's just quick example. Let's say we're on Meetup and we want to look for, I don't know, Android. That's probably not, yeah, that works. We're looking for like an Android group. Let's say, I don't really care about Manchester, but we'll do it anyway. So you go to the group. This is just a quick example. You're on the group. You can click on the members right here. And I'm a huge fan of bookmarklets. And you can just run up this bookmarklet right here of the Meetup scraper from Andre, which I'll give you the link to. It downloads the group, the name, their link, all that kind of good stuff. So what do you do with that? Many things. A, you can cross-reference them with all the different tools that I've shown you. Or B, if you have access to a hire tool or a seekout, you can upload lists to those platforms, and they will cross-reference, scrape, and push this list out to you with their name, email address, all that kind of great stuff. So again, it's a really simplistic thing. You can use like data miner and scrape this on your own. There's recipes for it that are pretty easy, but why not just use a bookmarklet that does it for you? Pretty sweet stuff. The second thing I want to show real quick is a tool that I don't even remember where I got this. I can't reference that, I apologize. But if you go to any site, like maybe you're looking for, again, we're talking about real-time communication developers, Ericsson, pretty big in that. I think they might have developed part of that technology. Let's say you're trying to find individuals from Ericsson. You found a lot of names, but you can't find their email address. There's a bookmarklet that I've got right here where you go to the website and you use the email tool, which again, this will all be shared with you. You don't have to write it down. And you just click emails for this domain, and then it pulls up the string. But what the point is here is it shows you what the common threads are for this, what's the right word, domain. And like you can see, it is like press.inquiries, or if we find an actual name down here. Oh, here we go. Tara Hiddleman. So it's it's first name dot last name at Ericsson. So if you find John.Doe, or John Doe would be John.Doe at Ericsson, you can reach out to them that way. So it's just a quick, simplistic tool to find what the actual email domain is for different companies. Gosh, flying along. I saw there was a post not too long ago about searching images on Facebook, and that's cool. But the way that I found it really beneficial is if you search from left to right, or the image may contain X number of people. If you do this for like conferences and groups, there'll be a lot of times that people are tagged in these photos. So this one, for example, it's a cool picture because people are on stage. Actually, I think I opened it already here. It's for a women in tech group. But if you search that and you like, for me, I just typed in machine learning. So I'm looking for like machine learning and people that have taken photos about machine learning. Here you go. And then here's the speaker. Here's the people that are up here, and here's their name. So you can take this, and what I've shown you so far is you can connect the dots from there. As Dean says, follow the breadcrumbs, I think. So I use it that way. And then I also use it searching for like the conference speakers. So you can do like speaker, presenter, panelist, and it'll show you the list. Like if you click on this, it'll show you those names and who they are and what they do. But also there's like here, you can find these are people that spoke on a panel, and I've already got it open. And again, same deal. Like these are their names, and you can follow the crumbs from there. So I use that quite often when I look for different conferences and try to find the actual people that spoke. Also, we'll skip that one that's in there. Yeah, we'll skip that one. That's probably much more in Dan's realm, but I use CyberCops a lot for different tools for all these different things. I'm not going to go through these, but you will have this resource. It's got all different sorts of scrapers, ways to find tweets, ways to, for Twitter, for example, it's got Instagram searches that you can do. It's just a huge, robust resource for all sorts of different tools that you might want to use to find candidates. I don't know if Dan's used it or not, but I like this site a lot. The final thing I wanted to reference was Andre the man himself. I would highly recommend Sourcers. Go to his GitHub, bookmark it, because the meetup scrapers on here. I mean, there's so many different tools that I downloaded or installed from him that save me time, whether it's web scraping, whether it's gosh, anything under the sun. So I just wanted to reference him and say, go to his GitHub site. It is on the PowerPoint that I'll share with you. And gosh, I've rambled more than enough. I'm happy to answer questions now, or Dan can perform, and then I will answer questions after. Whatever you want to do, Dan, it's your call.
No, Andre's the man. So yeah, actually, what are we doing? 10:33. Okay.
Why don't you take it from here, Dan?
Okay, cool. Let me
Marc,
jump
but
up.
we'll monitor the questions afterwards.
Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Just a second. And hopefully all of you can see my screen now then, I guess. Can you all see my screen?
Yes,
Marc?
we can see your screen.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, great, perfect. All right. Actually, before I start, I just want to make sure I quickly state, like, I'm not speaking on behalf of my employer. All the opinions are mine and mine alone, kind of deal. And I'm here on my own individual capacity. And yeah, thanks. So I just want to make sure I get that out of the way right away. But just going back to what we're doing is, I just want to just give some simple, practical, and tactical sites that all of folks here on the screen on this webinar can use. There's some great talent on the. I saw some names from John to Todd to Steve. So hey, you guys, feel free to chime in if you find something cool or you know something. Add it to the chat, please. So I'll send a list of all these out and more that I think, and Marc just gave me something. Hey, let's just do something like software engineer. And how will we find them outside of LinkedIn? And so I was like, you know what? There's a lot of databases out there. Like, think about all the different databases. And I'll start with I just chose something like the HoloConnect. And actually this second example, I'm not going to bring up LinkedIn, but imagine this Arthur Gann, software engineer in Seattle, Microsoft. I didn't see him on LinkedIn. So imagine if I was just to click on this, just let me, I may have to run through some of these pretty quickly here, but you get a little bit of a bio. In addition, you get these similar profiles too, that just like LinkedIn, you kind of use those to kind of help you maybe find a few more. And that's what my goal is over these next few sites here as well. So for example, the next one, like Contact Out. Again, let me just click on Ricardo here. It doesn't matter. I clicked on the first 2 or 3 just to kind of check. But again, you might just see, you can see a little bit of a bio, and then you can click something like See More. And then you're going to get some more different potential colleagues, right? And so this is what I'm trying to get you after is like, yeah, you can find some names, but then also potentially they're not on LinkedIn, but also potentially find some more. Again, they're colleagues. Who else is working with them, right? To kind of give you some of those more leads, because you get the people that say, no, I've tapped out LinkedIn. We're all using LinkedIn. We're all tapped out. So my goal here is just to kind of give you some other ones here. Something like this, the emailverifier.io, again, just with software engineering quotes. If I click on that, hopefully it gives us some other names. Yeah. So again, I just scrolled down a little bit here, and now we can see potentially some other people working at that company as well. So again, you might come across where maybe Don isn't, actually that's paralegal, but the idea is you might come across some names that you're not going to find within LinkedIn, and vice versa. You might actually take a name that you know is great and use these other site commands like the contact out, the Holy Connect, actually I'll get to this, Radaris. And I want you to think about LinkedIn. It's almost, it's getting to the point where people have removed their profiles, and so think about those databases that might still hold information. And so sites like the Radaris, or let's see here, or Joe's Data, or Zoom Info, right? Hopefully some of you were seeing where I'm going with this. But you're gonna come across others. Like if you were to just click on this, I don't know, let me just click on one here. Again, usually you'll find some other view colleagues here. Again, the idea is that you might also maybe find some more and find other contacts as well. All right. All right. Here's one I really like. It's called All People. Man, this one I actually talked about. There's a lot of great people finder sites with contact information, from That's Them to Find People, True People Search. But this is actually one of my favorites as well. It's called All People. And, I might just click on this around by the first person result here. And again, just using the site operator. And what's cool about this one is, again, I'll just scroll down, give it just a second, and you start to see some of the other coworkers. Again, the idea is that you're going to be finding lists by typing in a name. Maybe you type in a name that you know is great, or a few other software engineer names that you know are great, and then use this All People or the Zoom Info or the Contact Out, etc. And then next thing you know, you might come across some other potential colleagues or other people that might make sense that you might look into, or that may not have a LinkedIn or remove their LinkedIn. Let's see here. Again, think about all those other sites like the Ben Verify. Again, I'm trying to think about all the database. In fact, I have a couple secret not secret, but I have a couple other fun stuff that little database sites stuff that's on the web, online, openly available, that you might look into yourself as well. And so again, realize you could I was picking on Mike. I figured, hey, I'm trying to pick on Mark and try to find some of his neighbors that he might look into. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll just type in Microsoft. So, but here's again, it's just an example where you might just click on some names, and then next thing you know, you're just discovering more and other people. Usually, most of these sites have like other colleagues as well, or other people, and so they might have a little bit of a bio on them as well. So sometimes you'll find some other colleagues as well. So again, just think about those. Think about some of these sites, the older ones that still may have the information, but where LinkedIn has removed it. Sorry, I'm starting to repeat myself here. So, all right, Apollo.io. I love this one. And let me show you why. Here, let me just click on something here. Let's click on Lynn. Hopefully it comes up. I need to sign in. Okay. I'm getting the connection's unstable here. I may have to drop my video of me, but hopefully you guys could still see my screen. You all could see my screen. But what I like about this, you can start to see a little bit more of the bio. And I've come across and I've gotten hires where I found someone through Apollo IO, and it was just through one of the other contacts or other related coworkers. And so this is where again, you want to sign in, but if you were to view all colleagues right up here, actually I may need to sign in. Yeah, I'm not going to sign in. I can't sign in right now, but imagine you sign in. Imagine quick 30-second email verification, get it, and you hit view all colleagues. I love this one for the view all colleagues, Apollo.io. And that way you're going to maybe find some folks that you haven't seen on LinkedIn that's gathered. Again, think about all the data that's out there and gathered online.
Quick question. Apollo, I've looked at Apollo. It's like a CRM, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the right? Okay. I was like HubSpot or Apollo. And, of course you get all the emails and everything from that, but it's not cheap. It's like $700 a month or something like that. Does your employer pay for that?
No. You could do this where you just view it, but at least you see some of the folks again. You start to see some of the folks, and that's where I've seen where at least I've gotten a few names sent up. So again, just click this view all colleagues. You'll sign in, sign up. I just use the free where I just see enough where I see it for free a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on here. I got 10 for, okay, let me try to just go 9 or 10 more minutes and then try to save the last 10 minutes for questions, or 5-10 minutes for questions. Let's see what else here. There's getemail.io, same thing. Let me just click on Benjamin Lee at Palantir here. Again, you just can click on it, and then again, it should show ideally some other people or other people working at other people working here. So again, you might start to look at playing off some of these names. You might use the data miner, whatever scraper that you fancy, to help start to gather and collect those names and start going through those. Palantir. Actually, sorry, this wasn't planned, but I don't care. I'm going to deviate just for a second, because I just want to show you those cool gold mines and databases as well. I'm not sure. Have any of you ever heard of this one? It's called Keybase.io. It's pretty cool. I feel like this is where a lot of the network security, the true hackers kind of hang out. Yeah, they might be on HackerRank or etc. and all those other, I wrote down some of the sites like the dev posts where I wrote down some things like the GitHubs, the nerdy data, the grep code, the leak code, the public www, the dev post, the dev text, etc. But this is for security professionals. This is a pretty cool database. And so like, let's just do, actually I'm going to pick on web here. Let's see if he's there. Yeah, Micah. Yeah. So like, this is cool because you're really going to find some hardcore security professionals potentially, at least have their username and handle. And in about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to show you a cool other website or tool where you can look up like usernames and handles. And actually Mark spoke to it as well, I think with some of the username check and etc. But I have another cool tool that I like to show you as well. And I'll show that to you in just a few minutes. But to me, this is a really cool site where you can start to see a bunch of cool security professionals. And next thing you know, you start to discover a little bit more about them and see who's following them and who follows them. And that might just be helpful for you. All right, that was totally unplanned. And anyways, let's see here. Let's go to, okay, get email. Okay. The next one was, Lead Ferret. So back in the day, I loved Jigsaw. It became data.com then, and then eventually it got taken away pretty much from all of us. So the other side I used to use besides data and Jigsaw is called Lead Ferret. And Lead Ferret had over 30 million contacts on it. And so again, using the site operator on that. And in fact, actually, if we were to use the site operator on that within Google, if I was to click on it, you get this kind of, at least I did, this error message. Hold on just a second. This, the fail with the Cloudflare. There's search engine, which I'm going to also encourage you, try other search engines, try different creative ways and techniques for you and that will work for you. But here's just an example where, again, I'm just using the site leadferret.com, software engineering quotes. Just again, I'm trying to keep this simple. But I clicked on Gary Crawford here, and what's nice is at least when I click the cached of it, at least it's showing up for me. At least I can click on it and get to it. On Google, you can't even click into it or nothing. It just comes up with nothing. So here's something where, again, I have Gary Crawford, software engineer. He happens to work for NASA. But we also see other Gary Crawfords with other similar names. There's a Gary Crawford, a procurement manager there. Okay, whatever. But if I scroll down, wow, lots of Gary Crawfords, popular name there. But list of colleagues, again, you find some other, like Denise Tate, doing software engineering, or let's see here, Aurelio Tovola, a software engineer, or Chris Hugland, a software engineer. Again, I want to encourage you, go into these think about the older databases that still have some of the information where LinkedIn may have removed it, because LinkedIn's really trying to fight this, right? But these older databases still have it. All right. And let's continue on. Let's see here. Oh, so just some general Boolean. Again, I really want to just keep this simple, practical, and tactical. You might just try something like meet our team, meet our employees, etc. Meet the team, and you might just do in something like in your employees or in your team, or you might use bio or profiles or directory, things of that nature, right? And next thing you know, let me actually, I didn't click on this. Let me see if this hopefully. But the idea is you could come across a lot of the smaller team pages. That's not clickable. This is all. Wait, is this all marketing? Let me see if there's anything with software. Oh, here we go. Cloud. Let's just do this one. But hopefully they have a team page here. Oh, perfect. Yes. All right. So you can see how I'm doing this on the fly. But developer. Yeah. See, I mean, the idea is, imagine, and if anything, most of these smaller company pages are generally kept up to date versus what's on LinkedIn. And so hopefully you're all seeing where I'm going with this, but this can be just as valuable. So I really want to encourage you. You might just try a little Boolean of something like this. Again, I'll send this over to Stacy to send out to all of you later on. But again, you could mix this up, instead of meet the team, meet our employees, meet our staff, and you're all staff, entitled, things of that nature. Just play around with it a little bit. I'll make something up and send it over to Stacy before end of day here today. But again, I just wanted to share. You could do some Boolean. All right, 10 point. I got 3 or 4 minutes left here. Let me continue on. So, phonebook.cz. Phonebook.cz. I just typed in like Microsoft. Actually, I think you did, Mark, you did Ericsson. So let's just try. So it looks like you're right. It looks like it's generally first name dot last name, Mark. There's a couple people with middle initials, maybe, but yeah. But imagine you got sites like this where, again, it's OSINT, it's open source intelligence, it's openly available. But imagine now you have a huge list that you're looking at and not just having to just Google it. And you're probably going to come across some of these names, like an Andre, I don't know, I'm just making this up right now, Andre Bolivia at Ericsson.com. But you're starting to see, I mean, I'm going to let me just scroll for a while. Now you scrape this and you start to go through these. By the way, I don't whatever you want to do, but I think some of you know where I'm going with this. But you start to go through all these and grab these, and then systematically start to go through these. I have a team I work through and I work with, and we kind of start and just break it apart. So phonebook.cz, and imagine you just type in whatever company domain, and you start to see all those emails and start to work through some of those emails. All right. Let's move on. And I referenced this a little earlier, and I was saying, hey, if you have a name or an email, like I just showed you from Phonebook, you could use this site. And I recommend, I think this is a good site. It's called gofindwho.com. And you could use this to look into people more. Like, actually, I'll just type it myself. That's fine. And let's pick on something. I don't want to submit all because then I'm going to get crazy. Let's go to, yeah, how about PQ? I think I had Site Spokio as well over here. That's why I'm trying to pick something different. But oh yeah, here's a good example where, again, what's cool about PQ is now you have names, and let's just say this matched up to me. You have this Dan B. So it's Dan B. Harris. Actually, mine's Dan D. But you start to uncover potential usernames, and you can play out those usernames to discover them and see where they are online, and as well as maybe other information as well. So again, PQ, very useful for that. I know a lot of the experienced folks already know this, but yeah, again, just something useful. But again, gofindwho.com. Again, like I was showing you earlier from those other sites, you plug that into GoFindWho, and you can come up with stuff like that. So let's see here. What else did I have? Let's see. Anything else here? Let's see. Let me go back. Okay, I want to lastly end with a really other cool database. It's the Bears Officials Store.com. And think about this was I think a scrape, either Findera or Bears. I think I can't remember. It's one of these, but basically this has a lot of great information that was scraped from LinkedIn at one time or another. And so think about, as LinkedIn starts to remove a lot, or they've removed their profiles from LinkedIn, what databases has it? Think about like I showed you earlier. You go back to some of the older just databases where they just happen to grab it, like the Radars, the Zoom Infos, the Joe's Data, this Bears Official Store. I want you to think like that, where that's how you're going to uncover folks that may not be on LinkedIn anymore or remove themselves, right? I know I keep repeating myself on that, but again, let's pick on your neighbor there, Microsoft, Mark. And actually, I think I opened it up in another tab. This one I did have ready. But yeah, again, you can start to see some bios and uncover. And yes, some may have moved on. I think there's some where they've moved on, right, to different companies. But the idea is, the idea is you uncover some additional talent that may have been removed on LinkedIn. And again, you gather this all and start to systematically go through it. And I don't care if you even just spend maybe just a few minutes each day on that, whatever works for you. Find what works for you at the end of the day. But the idea is I just want to hopefully get your creative ideas and juices flowing here with what I'm sharing. So let me go. Let's see here. Let's see here. I think I had Google next. Yeah. Otherwise, this isn't, I kind of did this last minute. I know it's 10:52. Let me just take 1 or 2 minutes more, but Facebook, just know you could go to Facebook. I think facebook.com/directory/people. And think about it, you might systematically, hey, you would say, hey, I already covered LinkedIn. All right, then let's think about social, right? And you're looking at those databases and social. So now start to systematically go through all these. Yeah, it's a whole lot. So the search isn't not the greatest on this, but the idea is you might just start, imagine if you have all the data and you're collecting it all through all these pages, eventually you're going to get through it. And it helps if you have a team. But the idea is, you're going to start to uncover information, and then you might team up with a few other people and then start to parse out some of the people that might belong to better in other groups and help those other groups out as well, which makes the whole company better. All right. And then same thing as Twitter. Same thing. I actually like this follower walk, and I search bios. And so here's an example where I just do, let's just go under more options, under search bios, more options. And let's just do software engineer. Again, that was Marc's thing. And then let's just do Seattle. And okay, yeah, first person, whoever that is. But the idea is you can start to uncover them, look at their bios, and at looks like Cyanogen. And then you might just use something like this, whoops, wrong one, I'm jumping ahead. Like Tweetbeaver, and whoops, sorry. Where is, I want to go back. Notice that she has 507 following and over 116,000 followers. That's quite a bit. But the idea is, imagine you're more focused on maybe a particular software engineering architect or individual that you're after. You might just go back to Tweetbeaver and use this tool to download all their friends or download their followers list. And again, kind of like that. I think Jeremy does it. Jeremy and his team at Paired Sourcing kind of does the same technique, but we have a team. But imagine you start to manage and start to go through those really talented, specific individuals that you want to see and go after and see who's following them and who's also their followers. And you're going to come across some great talent that way. All right. Let's see what else. Cluster maps. I actually like this. This is great as well. You might actually, I reference this to the Hoovers, which I don't have access to anymore. I loved Hoovers back in the day. And, you might just do something like Microsoft find. And I don't know if the first result had any results here. Okay, no, it didn't. Okay. But sometimes on some of these pages, let me see, was it the second one maybe North Carolina? Yeah, you're going to find some people with their emails and phone numbers right there. Maybe an engineering technical person or a marketing person, that kind of deal. And it's all right there for you. And they work at that office. And you just typed in, for example, Microsoft there. So cluster maps, the other one is, okay, 10:56. Just give me one more minute and then we'll take some questions. I know Is this okay? Or
Oh,
audience, you tell me.
You're
Do you
doing
want me to
great.
stop?
You're good.
I love this stuff. Like I literally love finding stuff. So this is my deal. All right. So
it's infectious. Yeah, I like your passion for it. Keep going.
okay. All right. So let me try to wrap up in 1 minute, but try to save some. But same thing, Microsoft, and let's just was it Seattle? So same thing again. You might just uncover like a person there or whoever is at this. Let's see if there's any. Let's see. Let's see if there's. Usually, sometimes I'll list some people or names there, but let me see. I'm just clicking. I don't know. Let me see. Hopefully, this one will pull up something. Okay, it just shows Lee Dirks there. But sometimes they actually list more. Yeah, this is probably not. I don't know. You may have to click it. But usually, sometimes maybe they'll list other people, other TAMs, technical account managers, the sales manager, the manager there, that kind of thing. But to me, it's all helpful. And next thing you know, you come across some names and some people that you haven't uncovered, especially at specific office and locations. Next thing you know, you uncover that in engineering office as well. All right. So I think that's it really. Let me make sure I don't have anything. No. Okay. Those are just stuff that just got opened. Yeah. Apollo. Yeah. Just making sure. Yeah. Just nothing. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. All people is pretty cool. Yeah. That's it that I plan to share. I have more stuff, but hopefully you found some cool little tidbits and nuggets that you might take with you and try on for yourself.
I've learned so much in this show and so many great sites that you can go to. And again, it's a lot. Like if we were to list out everything that we reviewed in this show today, there'd be a lot. So of course everybody's like, well, where do you start? So let me ask you this, Dan. So your role is researcher, right? And so do you just create lists, or do you also contact those candidates and engage them initially, or where does your process begin and end?
I'll give you a little insight in terms of I work as a researcher, again, at a $2 trillion plus tech company. And so part of a small team where we literally gather and just build a list of folks and just kind of vet the names and kind of shorten that list and make it so it's a lot more valuable to that specific recruiter, manager, or even the higher ups. And
So
at that point, we don't have to necessarily do the contact. Yeah, it's just vetting the information. So it just makes a big difference when we don't have to take that extra step. It's more just, hey, let's just vet the information and let's narrow it down, but give them a great list of folks. And
you have to be a very large company to afford a researcher like yourself, Dan. I love it. Wait, and so Mark, you too, question. Do you have the full desk, or are you, where does your process begin? Are you doing sourcing? Do you work with sourcers? Where are you at?
Great question. All the above. But for me, yeah, it's typically finding what's the most ROI. And these sites, all that I shared and Dan shared, they all have different use cases. Like you can use them for different roles. Like Dan showed some security stuff. So whatever the role may be, I would go that route first, build my list. I'm all about lists. I live in sheets and lists. And then I reach out from there based on the information I've gathered on them. So that's my step-by-step. But not to complicate things. Yes, to answer your question, that's pretty much the route I go.
So once you source, you build a list. Do you use drip campaigns? Do you use any sort of email platform to engage a list of candidates and target them?
I don't. And that's just surely because due to InfoSec, we don't really have access to any of that. I've wanted to. It's all manual drip campaigns, if you will. Again, the reason for keeping them in sheets and building lists is I just set reminders of, hey, list 21A I reached out to on Monday. 2 Mondays from now, I'll cross-reference that with my email, just do a scrape. Those that I have replies for, it automatically deletes them. Those I don't have replies for, just send them another note. So I would love to answer your question, but I don't have access to that, so I'm not a good.
I know oftentimes with security for companies, you can't use certain Chrome extensions. I've not been able to use Data Miner. Interstellar is one I'm looking at because it has the ability to do those drip campaigns, like for each person, or even get 10 of them and send the drip campaign to them. So really powerful way to make your process go quicker. What's that?
I'll forward you this list. I was just
Perfect.
thinking about just some of the things I like, some of the sites I've used. But again, please know this doesn't even go. This is just some of these, and just know that there's even more of these out there. And I want you to look to go discover and explore those on your own as well. But these are just some of them as an example that you might look into and cover talent out there. And
I
have
think
some
it's
fun.
important too that if you have your, your top, this is a lot, not you're not using these on every single search. But let me ask you this, Dan and Mark, what would you say if you have an order or a rec? What would be probably LinkedIn? I don't know. Or what would be your top 3? Start here, then there, and then there that you would maybe hit for software. Let's say for a software engineer or a data engineer for Python.
For me, ATS, like that's, in my opinion, you have to go to ATS first. That's without saying. After that, the 3, I mean, for me, it depends on what the role is. But for that, I'd probably go, I mean, I like GitHub. It's there. It's widely used. I would dive in there and find open source projects. I would use like dev.to, find open source projects. And then I think somebody mentioned in the chat, and it's so true. Facebook is huge. Like there's 2 billion. I use Facebook all the time for searching and sourcing. But ATS is number 1. That's for me at least. I don't know what Dan's route would be.
Yeah, pretty much.
ATS, GitHub, and Facebook.
There you go.
How about you, Dan?
Yeah, ditto. If anything, maybe we might just use some other social media. Like maybe they have a lot. It's a very maybe specific or 2 individuals, and we might look at their Twitter as well, right? And see who's following them, and who they follow, kind of deal. And again, it's kind of putting the puzzle pieces together of who's on their team and who's the people, right? So just having fun at it. So.
Speaking of fun, the chatter in the chat box is really funny. Thanks everybody for joining us for the Dueling Sorcerers show. We'll be back here every other week. So we'll be doing it every other Tuesday at 10 a.m. And thank you for being part of our first show, Dan and Mark. Last question. If anybody wants to reach out to you, where can they find you, Mark? How can they do that?
Yeah, my email, I'll send that out with my sweet picture of my face on Luke Skywalker's body. So you'll have that, but email's best. You can get me on LinkedIn. Yeah, you're sorcerers. You can find me.
And Dan, how about you?
Yeah, see, if they're sorcerers, find me on LinkedIn and message me there.
Wonderful. Thanks everybody for being part of Dueling Sorcerers, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.